And so, yeah, I'm just so hyped for this. We have the Armageddon. It's just begun. Yeah, Andrey's sticking with his usual laid back body posture.
Right. He wasn't laid back in that time scramble at the end though, so I feel like we may see him slowly start to creep up in his chair, but he was trying to calm himself down after that. Remember, Esipenko with the white pieces is in a must-win situation. The only good thing for him is he had the white pieces, and he was in a must-win situation just moments ago, and he managed to do it. So he just needs to do it all over again.
And we have a Rogozin, which is a pet opening of Aronian. He's really played that for most of his career, and it's an opening defined by pretty concrete lines. And that can be beneficial for Black and Levon. What Andrey needs is he is a very strong, well-prepared player, so I do assume he's got things prepared here, because this is an opening Levon knows really well, lots of forcing lines, and it's not necessarily what you want when you're playing white, because then that time advantage might not be as significant if your opponent can, rattle out 20, 30 moves of theory, get into an endgame. Not as much pressure as you'd like. But here, let's see what Andrey comes up with. Levon playing quickly and confidently. This is a pet line of his. A feature of it you can see in front of us is Black right now has the bishop pair. Pawns are a bit looser on the king side. But the king's not necessarily weak on e8. It's hard to target just with the stray knight on h5. And oftentimes what white tries to do is eventually queenside castle, and then you might have time to put pressure on this h4 isolated pawn, or just go for a strategic approach. Just, playing it positionally, putting pressure on d5, h4, maybe f7 in the endgame. Black's compensation is the bishop pair. So when you see the move c6, it means probably that bishop on b4, if it gets uncomfortable, will slide back to d6. d6 can't be attacked. Also takes away that escape square for the knight on h5, which would be f4. So it's considered a very dynamic opening, if need be, but just also very solid. So curious what Andrey comes up with here, because he will need some ideas. This is really, as I said, Levon's got a lot of experience here, and you got to be careful about those bishops.
Yeah, the bishops are going to be very strong. I like how bishop d6 takes away the f4 square. It makes me think of bishop f3 as an option. First of all, the g2 pawn is loose. It's unclear whether you'd want to ever take that right away. But the reason I was looking at bishop f3 is I did want to play knight to f4, but I thought that bishop to d6 was annoying, and I wanted to react with knight c to e2, dropping the knight on the queen side back to support it. Here, I think that if bishop d6 is played, we can even follow up with g3. This is a possibility as well, using the pin from the h1 rook all the way down to h8. So I'm wondering if we're going to see it maybe transpose. It does go with bishop f3 anyway, yeah.
Yeah, one of the problems with like g3, Black plays loose in this line, but it is theory. If you go g3 with a pin, maybe Black goes rook h6 or something, and you don't necessarily want to give Black an opportunity to trade off that isolated h-pawn. And liquidate more pieces. So it's a bit of a dilemma. Andrey here already losing most of his time advantage. That's and right. Faced with a decision, he goes knight e2. But again, Levon is comfortable here. The onus is on white to come up with a plan and a way to press. Bishop g4, I wasn't actually sure about it. I thought he was going to go bishop f5, the usual place. This trades things off, but I wasn't that thrilled with the bishop on f3 necessarily. If Black assumed the diagonal with bishop f5, I was kind of curious what would happen. a4, that's a move, try to pry Black open, kick away the knight on b6. At least here there's a sharp position, and one thing I like about white is there's stability here. When your knights are on e2 and f4 like that, you never have to worry about g2 hanging. You know that if Black trades that bishop, you just replace it with another knight, and then at least you can make the strategic argument. Even if we trade off queens or something, if this were an endgame, as long as that pawn is still on h4, pawn on f7, white has a better pawn structure, and all you need is something to push.
Is
Clocks are gonna-
a5 playable here? I'm looking at some weird move like a5, bishop b4 check, and queen to c8 or queen d7. And the idea of like rook a6 to trap the
yeah.
queen. But, overly fancy for sure. And the reason, though, that I was even looking at stuff like that is because I thought that if long castle, that maybe a5 and a6 was not really what you wanted to see.
I actually don't know why Andrey played a4. Maybe as an idea here, I thought he was just going to prepare to queenside castle, maybe double on the h5 with his rooks. Simple, maybe it's not very deep, but there's some serious drawbacks with what he's doing with the pawn here. You get it to a6. Black often replies with b5 or b6. Rook d7. Wow. Saying, you know what? You can take that. And the king loses some cover. But all of a sudden, white's king will be in trouble if black recaptures the rook and wins b2. Open positions, if Andrey's not careful, his king could find itself in a tough spot because sometimes white queenside castles. Then if you do queenside castle, you might be regretting pushing your a-pawn. But the players are playing a sharp position pretty quickly here, really trying to avoid serious time trouble. And, well, anyways, for the match situation, yeah, this is anyone's game.
Very double-edged. This is just an exciting position regardless. White has a great knight on f4, but it does need support. So it's a great looking piece, but the knight on e2 has to stay there. So white's in this position where the knight on f4 is covering g2. It's covering or preventing black from playing pawn to h3. And in general, it's just a very, very solid position. The black knight on b6 can't move to a4, c4, d5, d7. It's effectively trapped at the moment. And the bishop on d6 never wants to take the knight because, well, white's just happy to take back. But the pawn on b7 and just that achievement with a4, a5, a6 and taking, I think that's the difference in this position. And it's why I kind of like what Esipenko has here.
No, I like Andrey's position. I like the knights on f4. I feel like when you're in an Armageddon situation, you're playing white, you want paths to victory. He's got the endgame ideas where he can play against the weak pawns. He's got the attacking ideas. Kings are on opposite sides of the board. The A file's open. You can maybe target black's king. So he's got attacking ideas. He's got the clock, positional points as well in his favor. So exactly what you want for the situation. Black's position is still fine, but I kind of said like it's up to white to prove something. I'm not sure if black is equal here. The knight on b6 is not a good piece. It has no squares.
Yeah.
Black's holding everything together tactically almost, or with active pieces, but broken down, not so sure about that. There's a lot of these endgames. Yeah, the h4 pawn is going to be a target. I don't like the a7 pawn, is an isolated pawn. Look at c6. All of black's pawns are weak. All of black's pawns are weak, and I feel like, is Andrey going to play knight g1? Knight f3, is that an idea? Put a knight on f3 and just try to put pressure on h4. I'm not sure if that's progress or not, because the queen on e4 is very annoying. I even think white can go for queen trades in certain positions, but maybe you wait till later. Andrey's got to watch out for the clock. He's up a little bit right now, and the main decision is he's got his king on f1. He probably doesn't want to go to g1 and maybe pin the g-pawn, but where's the progress to be made? Okay, so the knights have changed a little bit from e2 and f4 to d3 and f4. And what does that mean? Well, on d3 and f4, the d3 knight's probably more impactful than it was on e2. So it's probably a positive shift for Andrey. So I think that's a good idea.
Aronian has a knight that's joining the game now as well. Like that knight we were talking about being trapped, all of a sudden they've switched places. Rook b7, knight d7. The knight can reroute into the game, f8, e6, maybe also f6 to e4. And things can be kept pretty well defended here. Either rook b6 or bishop c7, that rook on h6 playing double duty.
It's a bit clumsy to play knight f8, knight e6. If you have the time, definitely. I think another idea, Andrey might look towards playing rook f3 in some position in the future. Maybe he can then move his knight out of the way and play knight h3 and activate. But I like white's position here. Knight f8 knight e6. Does Levon have time for that? Is Andrey preparing to play knight c5 now?
Also, b5 is a potential idea of maybe if knight f8, b5 could be a shot with some like checkmate ideas.
Yeah, this looks really good for white. The more I look at it, the dynamic compensation that black is supposed to have for the structure, I don't see it fully. Queen e8 is not a Levon kind of move. It kind of shows he's not too comfortable, but he has to play fast. Yes, what does it allow? The knight can go to f6 now because c6 is defended. It can swing over to e4. Even when it goes to e4, it's a better than it was on b6.
But the also there's knight g5. He could be planning like knight e4, knight g5, h3, and suddenly there's play that you didn't think that you would have to deal with on the king side.
Knight e4, knight g5. That would be a way to use that h-pawn and rook and be in... yes.
Right, and here if you take the knight, yes, you don't have to deal with knight g5, but the b-pawn all of a sudden is just hanging, and the knight on e2 is not great because the resulting position is just black having the kind of the queen back into the action here. So I wonder, knight takes e4, if queen takes e4, are we going to see potentially b5 again?
Yeah, white has lost a bit of time in the last few moves. Right after I said I like the position, knight on f4 is well placed, but it needed to be tethered by the other knight. Knight on e2, not happy about whatsoever. So Levon seems to be back on track, but that 30-second time advantage is so far maintaining for Esipenko. And but he needs to find progress.
Yeah, I really wish that...
not going to give him easy exchanges. He's not going to take on c5.
The knight on e2, I want it to be on d3 because then we'd be supporting the b-pawn, supporting the knight on c5, but the knight on e2 is feeling a little misplaced because I can't reposition it without the assistance of the other knight. If I play knight f4, that's going to be taken.
f5. Levon is an active player, very dynamic, and if you give him a chance, you'll seize the initiative again, and look at that. So knight g5, the idea you spotted is great because that rook on h6 and pawn on h4 were blockaded, and that's a weakness. If he can get rid of it and get to Andrey's king, oof, you don't want your king open down to 2 minutes. Like, so h3, with h3, that's an interesting move. White might have
queen e4 is coming.
Yeah, queen e4, I want to go knight e1, but b4 is hanging. That's why even some of the moves that Andrey played, they're committal. It makes sense for the match. But all of a sudden, the liabilities are piling up.
I'm surprised by rook takes h3. I thought queen e4 was just a little bit annoying, hitting the rook on h1 and maybe the knight getting involved only afterwards.
Queen e4 is a good spot.
Because this, I mean, you don't want your knight on h3 probably. It doesn't look like the best square for it. Still, queen e4 is absolutely the next idea here, so you have to get ready for that.
I'm guessing knight c5, and if you play f4, something like queen h7, queen f5. Queen f5 of f4 is a nice way to improve the queen, and that knight's a bit offside.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
The good thing for Andrey is they keep taking a lot of time. Doesn't need to be winning or much better.
So what is white threatening if black plays a slower move like queen h5? I guess like maybe knight d7 comes to mind?
Yeah, knight d7. Knight d7 looks nice.
He's freezing a little bit here. Gotta get a move out. It's so easy to say and so difficult to do.
You can throw in like knight a4, repeat. I mean, not quite yet. The queen is watching over c6.
Here we go.
Knight d7. It threatens the rook with check.
Yeah, we might see it on the board. Because also, what is black threatening? Exactly. Queen f3, right? So it's like there's a couple moves until there's a big threat. Knight d7 played, time ticking down. That looks like a big move.
Yeah, queen f3, you can take the rook with check, and I don't think the tactics work because if you need to bail out, well, your queen is in time to defend f2. So he takes that. Isn't this just winning?
King b7, knight g1.
You know what? I was going to play knight g1, queen h1, rook c. No, rook c1 doesn't work. That's me getting ahead of myself.
Oof.
Uh,
I mean, you could literally just king e2, king d3, like get
king
out of
e2?
there.
Because queen takes g1, queen takes f2 is the threat. Wait, queen takes f5. Queen takes f5. Does that work, Amon?
Oh, wow.
Queen takes f5, queen takes g1, king e2. Things are held.
Coordination is incredible there after queen takes f5. That might be a knockout move.
Queen takes f5. Queen takes f5. Knight takes g1, and you're still holding everything. So then you just move your knight away. No, that's not it. Queen takes f5 was the move that Andrey just missed. I think that holds everything. Here, there's a bunch of checks and things to watch out for. This still is a game and still playable. That's why you see the bar moving a little bit, because he had a chance for material advantage. Yeah, if rook
try
c1
queen
bishop
d1, but queen h4 or queen, I guess queen h4 is no good. Okay, what do? You just play knight f3 after that. This is easily swinging in Levon's favor. Time is even now.
Can I go king c3? If knight e2 check, just move the king. He's got to move. Andrey's got to move here. That doesn't work. That's just not the move. You can play a6, and I don't see how that helps.
He takes it now.
Yeah, this is a worse version than previous, but
he has to take.
He's got to take.
He just has to
try to win this time scramble.
Yeah, he has to take now. Oh my goodness, he's allowing queen takes f2. That can't be right. And then just a6 after. b4
a6,
as well.
Yeah, a6.
Levon can't get too low on time. Bring the knight in. He didn't even have to move that a pawn. I thought maybe knight f3.
That's mate.
Wow.
That's mate.
Checkmate.
Wow. Queen a2 coming. And Andrey's realized it. His chances have been extinguished. Levon Aronian wins with black to qualify.